Hey, how you doing? My name's Chris Carroll. I'm the owner of Vintage Vibe, and this is Fred DeLeon. Fred?
Hello.
And we've been here for 23 years now.
My name is Adam Kneiper.
My name is James.
My name is Alberto.
Vintage Vibe started in 1997 after I had finished a stint of playing in a band in New York City. I played guitar and I sang in a band, and we had limited success. We did all right. I used to collect vintage keyboards for our recordings and writing, so forth. After the band broke up, moved out to New Jersey, started collecting, doing my own repairs. So that's basically how the business started, through a love affair of vintage keys and repairing them.
For me was, lugging a Fender Rhodes piano around weighs about as much as I did at the time. So I figured there's got to be a lighter way, a better way to do this. And that ultimately led to the idea of creating the lightweight version, which then became our Vintage Vibe piano.
I'm the lead Wurlitzer technician, and I guess you'd say head fabricator, where when we need to prototype something or making miscellaneous doodads, I'm usually the go-to. Growing up, I always played guitar and drums and was always just a musician.
I'm one of the piano technicians. Basically, I do repairs. I don't have any musical background, but I guess I don't really need it for what I do, so it's more technical.
I head up the electronics department, so I basically deal with repairs in the department as well as new products, keeping things in stock, developing new things, working on the electronic side of the piano.
Fred and I used to work together in the shop many moons ago now, and we always had fun laughing and, perfecting our craft. And at that point, we had started amassing parts for the aftermarket that we ship worldwide to people. And we laugh about it, and this is an old story at this point, but we used to laugh about, hey, we have all these parts, why don't we make a piano? Well, why not make our own piano? These ideas were fueled by Coronas and music, and
Bourbon, maybe a little bourbon.
a little bourbon too, yes. Fred had some great ideas. Again, he was, huffing these roads that were as much as him, and he's like, well, if we're going to do it, let's make it lighter. So we started building this Frankenstein in the shop, going tit for tat, talking about designs and how we were going to do it.
It was largely inspired by Mazda. They had something at the time for their race cars called the Graham Theory or something like that, where it was wherever you can save weight, do it. Even if it's down to a gram, just take it off because it's all going to add up.
Right.
And so, yeah, we did get the instrument down from like 120 pounds down to 50 for a slightly smaller key compass.
Yeah.
For the Vintage Vibe line, each keyboard, we get the parts that are made by vendors or the parts made by ourselves and start putting together sub-assemblies. So there'll be like the chassis and the legs, then comes the key bed, and then the action on top of that, regulation, and then the harp is on top of the whole thing.
It's based off of a Fender Rhodes, but instead of being in a wood case, the key bed and the action assembly are mounted into a base that is more like a Wurlitzer, so it's kind of like taking the idea of a Wurlitzer 200 piano and putting a Fender Rhodes in it. It makes it a lot lighter.
Basically, it's an asymmetrical tuning fork. So you have the tine that we had mentioned, which is your smaller rung, and then the tone bar, which is the larger rung, but they're alike in pitch. And there's one per note. So as you press a key down, a mechanical hammer comes up, strikes the tine, and sets it into vibration.
It's really evolved to a fine instrument. I suppose where if you got like a Fender Rhodes from the 70s, and especially if it hasn't been set up, it's kind of like, oh, this is barely an instrument.
The customer is the most important factor in our business. Without them, we're not here. It's our reliability, our honesty, and the fact that we're putting out the highest quality product, and they can rely on that.
When a repair comes in, we usually check for the main parts that wear, that the hammer tips, screws and grommets, but we usually find a lot of weird stuff in the key bed. It, stuff that falls in there, drug paraphernalia.
Most times when a keyboard gets here, it's been so long since they service it that you have to go through every single aspect of it. It's, changing dampers, leveling keys, changing hammer tips, like a little of everything in every single keyboard.
We try really hard to make people end up with something they're happy with. And if someone brings in an instrument, we're going to do our best to make sure that it goes back to them better than it was, playing really well, and that they're going to enjoy it.
We're doing a piece for Rami of the Foo Fighters right now, the Rolling Stones, Chick Corea, the Black Keys, Hall & Oates. Stevie Wonder is a huge client of ours. It was a huge leap for us as a company and as as someone larger than life having faith in us. And it was mind-blowing, it's like, wow, Stevie Wonder is using our pianos, and he loves them.
One of my best memories, though, is actually the debut of our piano in 2011. We had leaked some pictures, so people were starting to get a little excited about it, and just to see how that was unfolding online in the forums and people's conversation about it, and someone would post, "Oh, I went to their booth at NAMM and they played it," and that was really exciting to see all that unfold for me.
I think we all really care about doing a good job. We have a lot of pride in our work.
If you want to get your stuff working really well, we'll do our best to do that, and I don't think we ever fail in that capacity.
That work ethic that we all have here is really the impetus that drives this ship, and it's what we rely on ourselves as our motivation. It's not so much money. This is a niche business. It's not a business you get into if you want to be rich, So what do you have left at the end of the day? You have your work ethic, you have your word to customers. You have to look at yourself in the mirror. You have to be proud of and have pride of what you do. So that drives, I know, Fred and I and the rest of the guys here at Vintage Vibe to just be the best we can be, and that has brought us where we are today.